Talking about climate change can sometimes feel overwhelming.
Big words, big targets, big promises.
Today, we're going to find out what really good looks like
What's that actually mean for us?
here in Cumbria.
How is the electricity network in the northwest adapting to support renewable energy in a low-carbon future?
So here at SP Electrics Northwest, we're investing in the network to make it easier for people to connect low-carbon technologies as we transition to things like electric vehicle charging or air source heat pumps. As more and more people become reliant upon the electricity, we need to invest where the energy is needed. We need to be able to invest innovatively to make it a smart network so it's capturing the growing demands. It supports economic growth, it supports skills, it supports the local economy and the local supply chain. So it's enabling, our investment enables that wider low carbon transition.
How would a really successful low-carbon transport system look like for the region? Can you give us some examples you'd like to see?
Whenever you go to places that have really good low carbon transport, it's just good transport. It works for everybody. It doesn't just work for people that like the idea of low carbon transport. So I would invite people to think about maybe when they've been to alpine villages, or maybe when they've got shuttle boats to Greek islands, or whether they might move around neighbourhoods in New York City or London or places like that. That is generally low carbon transport. So for somewhere like Cumbria, if we think about it as a lot of villages and a lot of rural areas, we can point to a lot of places where we can see models of what good transport would look like. Public transport's the backbone. That is the skeleton that holds everything together. And what then complements that is dependent on what sort of place you're in. So the middle of Carlisle, Workington, Barrow, it will largely be a public transport place. But on top of that, there might be shared electric bikes, there might be shared electric cars, those sorts of things to allow people to build their own lifestyles that works for them using these services. Once we go out of the more urban areas into towns, smaller villages, then a lot of that could still work. In Switzerland, anywhere that has more than 300 people has an hourly bus service from 6 in the morning till midnight, complemented by bike share and car clubs. And because a lot of people use those services because they're such good quality, the economics stacks up. And so how do we get to there? That will never happen here, will it? It could do if we want it to.
So what sort of thing is Westmoreland and Furness Council doing in that sort of habitat protection side of things?
Well, we have done land assessments. We have sponsored, I say we work with partners all the time, so we've sponsored groups like Cumbria Wildlife to do land assessments, to understand where the habitats are, to look at building corridors. We are identifying land that can be used for improving biodiversity. So there are a lot of things that we are doing, and on our own land, obviously, we're trying to make sure that we restore nature. We've planted trees, we've planted over 100, we've worked with others to plant over 120,000 trees, and by this time next year, I'm confident we will have been involved in the planting of over 250,000 trees and hedgerows. So that obviously provides tremendous improvement in habitat. We're working with farmers to improve biodiversity in the areas that they're responsible for. There's a great deal that we're doing across the whole patch.
What role does Cumberland Council play in helping communities reduce carbon emissions?
It does quite a lot of separate things that added together are quite meaningful. I mean, first place, we do a lot of publicity of what we're trying to do in terms of climate change and nature issues. Secondly, we do things like trying to reinstate public transport. I mean, for instance, Millham never had a bus service for about 15 years, and we've reinstated a bus service, and that's throughout the Cumberland area as well as Westmoreland and Furness. So we're trying to get public transport to replace people using their cars as much as we can. But in a large county area like Cumberland, distances are so great and the rail system is not really very efficient. It's very difficult to get rid of the use of the car, but we're trying. We've also taken steps to increase knowledge about and the efficiency of refuse collection so that recycling becomes a bigger part of what we're trying to do. So I can go on and on about things like that where part of the normal local government agenda is being used with at least in mind the issue of climate change, and particularly we see climate change as fundamental to preserving and enhancing nature, and anything we can do in that area we're very active in.
What does sustainable tourism in Cumbria look like in 20 years' time?
In 20 years' time, who knows? I think from our point of view, I think what we'd like to see is very much looking at a better public transport system to help support visitors, not only getting here but also whilst they're here to enable them to travel around a lot more without their own private vehicles when they can. It also means a lot more sort of local produce and things like that on menus, but also in stores and things, so that value of tourism is kept within county. But also, having a lot more local does have sort of positive environmental impacts as well. And I think we'd love to look at growing regenerative tourism a lot more. So looking at improving the amount or increasing the amount that visitors give back, and that may be through visitor giving. So when we talk about visitor giving, that's very much about what visitors contribute to local charities once they're here, and a lot of those conservation charities, so things like Fix the Fells. At the moment, about 13.5% of visitors give on average about £7 when they come and visit, but that's something we have an ambition to try and grow so that they are financially giving back more to those sort of restorative and conservation charities in the county. And the flip side of that as well, and something that we probably would like to look at in the future, is there are other destinations that have volunteering opportunities so that visitors can actually get involved in some of that on-the-ground project work, and generating and producing some of those opportunities for visitors to get engaged would be a really good thing to do in the future. Because we do have people who come year on year, they absolutely love the place, they really want to help look after the area that they love and come to, so it's finding those opportunities for them to do so.
Today we asked what really good looks like.
And we got answers.
Now comes the important part.
Turning those answers into actions.
Because our future is not a talking point.
It's our reality.